learning to code using the London Underground, which might seem a bit weird, but using the link Open Data, we've managed to bring learning to code and the London Underground together. So the background to this is we were competing in an event called the Young Prewired State Festival of Code, which is held over the summer, and it's actually the world's largest annual hack event for young people. And it's basically just an event where lots of young people come together and create really amazing things. And the one requirement is you must use open data in your project. It can be any open data, you just have to use one piece at least. And so our project was RailCode. So what is RailCode? Now, RailCode is a website that teaches people to learn to code for the very first time, and it's all based around the London Underground. This may seem a bit odd, but I'm just going to explain this. And obviously, to comply with the one rule the Festival of Code has, it had to use some form of open data in it. So the first thing in RailCode is the user is given a small section of the London Underground map, just like the one shown there. Then RailCode randomly selects a start station on the map. On this one, we have the Moorgate station. And if there's a particular, more than one line on the station, it will also select a line for the train to start on. And then finally, the user is given a target station. So in the above example, the user is trying to get the train from Moorgate on the Circle line down to Pimlico on the Victoria line. And then the user must write some code to try and direct the train from the start to the end station. And they're using a very English-like language we created, an example shown there. And we made it as English-like as possible, with no symbols or words that could confuse the user, because we're really trying to encourage them to code and not trying to put them off on the first time. So RailCode also has a few different modes, which are all based on this, which is explained, but each one brings a different aspect to RailCode. And the first one is the Learn mode. And this is a tutorial which takes you through how RailCode works and examples of the language. And in this mode, you'll get told if you get something right, and if you didn't, you'll be told how you can maybe improve on it. And if you've ever used a website, Code Academy or a similar tutorial website, it's a bit like that. And the levels get progressively harder as you get taught more complex aspects to RailCode. And then once you've done that, you can go on to the Play mode, which is designed for people who have just done the Learn mode or have already experienced with coding. And in this mode, they'll just be given a start station and an end station, and they've got to write the code which takes the train around the underground to get there. And the only help they'll get is that they'll be told if they get it wrong, they'll be told they get it wrong, and that's it. They've got to do it all by themselves. And the Play mode also tries to teach them good coding techniques. By every time you manage to complete it, your code will be given a score, and the better your code is, the higher the score will be. And there's a global leaderboard which shows every user's score, so you can compete against other players. And then lastly, there's the challenge mode to RailCode, and that adds functionality on top of the Play mode. And when the user completes a game in the Play mode, they have the option to save it as a challenge. And this allows other users to play that exact same level with the same map and start station and end station. And they can try and play it, and they can write their code, and then their code will be given a score, and you can compare your code's score against everyone else who's played it. And then you can also see other people's code. So if you see someone's got a very high score on their code, you can say, how did they do that? And you can go and see their code, and you can learn good coding techniques from other people. So you're probably wondering where open data comes into this. Well, we didn't use the standard London Underground map in our project, and the reason for that is the standard London Underground map isn't open data. It's copyright to the Transport for London, and to use it in any project, you've got to pay a lot of money and get their express permission to use it in your project. So instead, we found a Creative Commons one, which is open data, which we could use freely in our project without paying any fees, getting permission, or any other probably legal stuff that we don't really want to do. And we also use the Transport for London API to get information about the current status of the tube lines, so we can reflect the map accordingly. In other words, so if there's roadworks or problem going on at a certain line in the underground, you won't be able to move your train through that line. It will be blocked off, and the program will say you have to go around another way. So it really reflects the live status of the London Underground. And without open data, we really could not have made RailCode. And this is primarily because of the tube map, because without a freely available tube map, we wouldn't be able to do it without paying fees, and we just couldn't do that. And another reason is we could do the live station status, and we felt that was a really important aspect of RailCode. And it just wouldn't be the same without reflecting the live status of the London Underground. And so it's actually due to the Transport of London that RailCode is possible, as without them opening up their data, RailCode could not exist in the current form that it does. And although it would be nice if they allowed us to use their official London Underground map, but we do have the Creative Commons one, which is similar, so we're not complaining too much. And now we have to consider, why did Transport for London open their data? And was the reason that they opened their station and line data so that we could create a website that learned people that taught them coding? Or was it maybe that people could create games that would be more reflective of the real London Underground? And the answer to that is, of course, no. The Transport for London, they didn't think of that. They thought of people would use it for journey planners to find the fastest or easiest or most interesting route from A to B. They made it for apps giving live updates on problems, apps predicting prices and recommending the cheapest route, apps notifying when trains were due, or to integrate with your websites, allowing directions to places or connections near places. So the open data was primarily planned for transport-orientated use, not an interactive game, not a learning aid, and certainly not a programming tool. But it was suitable, so we used it anyway. And what we have to take away from this is that you never open data only for yourself to use, because that would defeat the point of open data. Because the point of open data is that other people can use it. You should even open what you feel is pointless data, data that you would never use yourself, because as soon as someone else uses it, it is no longer pointless data. It is data that is relied on, that people need to create solutions to problems. When you open your data, you will lose control over what happens with your data. And this may seem like a bad thing, but it's actually very good. Because why should we assume that the only ideas for your data come from you? You may open your data, and someone else will come back and say, well, I've got this data that's very similar to your data, we should in fact combine it and create even better data. So by opening your data, you're actually giving yourself an even better source of data. The whole point of open data is that everyone can read from it. Everyone can use it, and then everyone can remix it, and change it, and alter it, and then republish it for other people to use. They can make your open data even better, and that's even if you think that your open data is already perfect and can't be improved on anymore. Open data allows anyone to create anything with your data. Who knows what people will do with your data? And the only way to find out what amazing things people can create with your data is to open it. Thank you for listening.